Hello and welcome back. My name's Daryl. Today we're going to take a look at some cool chords. So I'm very much about helping my students to kind of build chords themselves rather than just copy chord shapes. So I remember my dad had this book on the piano at home when I was a kid called 13,000 Chords, or Every Chord You'll Ever Need to Know, or something like that. And I remember just thinking, good God, how does he memorize all that stuff? And the answer, of course, he never did. When he would play guitar, he would memorize the shapes that he needed to know for what he was doing, or he might look up a chord in there and go, wow, okay, I'm not going to remember the 30 different shapes that have come for that. So what's more useful is understanding how to build the chords that you need to play. So if a 7th chord or a 13th chord or any of those fancy chord comes up, what's most useful is to be able to take the chords you already know and work out how to build things on top of that fairly quickly. So we're going to look at a cool chord today, which I think sounds really nice, and we're going to put it over chord shapes that hopefully you already know. And once you get the principle down, it doesn't matter what new chord shapes you learn as you learn triads and all sorts of things. As you play on the guitar, you should still be able to use the principle and the way we'll talk about it today to really easily remember, oh, that's how I build it. I think there's a big meal of kind of music theory made on the guitar of any music in general of you must know the building blocks. Well, knowing the building blocks is really useful, but actually when you're in the moment and you've got to make a chord, you've kind of got a 2-second or 3-second decision to be made as someone often shouts across a room at you, play me a B flat major 7, and you've got to go, ooh, wow, can I do that? Today we're going to work on major 7th chords. Major 7th chords I think sound really nice. A little bit jazzy. Some people aren't a big fan of them, but I think in this context they can sound really nice. And the way that I want you to build them for the moment, and this is a good kind of working rule to go with, is take the highest root note. Now root note, just to kind of fill anyone who's not sure what a root note means, root note is the naming note of the chord. So if I'm playing an A chord, I've got A, E, A, and then a C sharp. And then I could play this E up here too. But I've got multiple roots. So if this is an A chord, the root of A is the A note. So it's the naming note of the chord. That's what a root is. And if I take this A note here, I'm going to take the A note, the highest root, and -1 fret. So the rule is take your chord, major chords only for the moment, -1 from the highest root note. So, and that'll give you a major 7. So, okay. Cool, let's do a C. So if I'm on a C chord, if you're unsure of your notes on the guitar, this is a good time to, one, you can go look up what those notes are, and two, get practicing them because it's really important. If you really want to play guitar with anyone, knowing your notes is kind of bare minimum importance, especially, well, really eventually all over the neck, but in this area here, it'll make a big difference. Okay, so over here I've got a C chord. Well, I've got C here, then an E, a G, another C, and an E. So the highest root note, and this to clarify, highest is highest sounding, so it's actually closest to the floor, because guitar's crazy. That one is going to go -1 fret. So if it's on fret 1, it's now going to be a fret 0. So it's really simple when you play it, you just take your finger off. Alright, let's do it with the G chord. So we've got the G chord here. Now to do this one, because it's a little bit awkward to reach, I'm going to take this first finger off and just mute this string here. Because normally we'd hear it, but I'm just going to not play it. And use it, because I've got G and my highest, it's easy to see because it's mirrored. This string up here is also a G. So if I take my pinky finger off and swap it for that first finger, I can get my 7th in there. So we did it with the D chord, I've got a D note here. Anyway, you get the idea. So I thought it'd be cool. Why don't you take all of your major open chords and try and work them out. So you could do it with your E chord. Now this one's a little, this one here doesn't apply to my rule. And this is the one that I thought of because people are going to, if they try an E chord, they're going to go, oh, the rule doesn't work. So in this one, you've actually got 3 E notes. And so if you go the highest one, because it's an open string, you could, but you're going to end up with this horrible kind of big reach. And it sounds beautiful, right? But I realize it's not very easy for beginners to play, or most people with kind of normal hands as you play through. That's not an easy stretch to do. So you can play that. One thing you could do, because you've got 3 of them, you could take the middle one, and that sounds lovely. Okay, so that one works fine. So once you've done it with the open chords, if you know bar chords, try the same with that. So if you got to find your roots on those and play through them. And any triads, any major chords on the guitar, try and find your highest sounding root, slide it 1 fret lower, and start building major 7th chords. Because the power in this is being able to go, oh, well, any chord I already know. So you've got your 5th string root ones. How can you turn that into a major 7? And then actually identify, okay, well, this is what's happening, and that's where the major 7 is. And it kind of becomes cool rather than having one of those 13,000 chord books that I see people with, and it just looks like a headache because no one. If you've got a 13,000 chord book, what do? You start at page 1 and just start learning? No, it's a reference book, right? But if you ever opened up a chord for reference, it's terrifying. It's like there's 30 or 40 options. They are cool for giving you some ideas of voicings that you wouldn't have thought of before. But when you're actually playing, you've got to be able to do stuff kind of in the moment a lot of the time. And this will help you take chords you already know and switch into major 7s and sound kind of good. So I hope you have fun doing this. And I'd love to know how you get on. Enjoy yourself.